Hello. So, in the last episode, we were speaking about the uh, major growth in Sunray, which happened. So, we employed like five new employees. We ended up a year with quite success, and we were speaking about the processes at that time, which management and organizational changes which we needed to implement to sustain that growth, and also performance reviews, which we expanded from just regular notes to uh, set of skills which we want to see at each of our employees here in Sunray. So if I remember, Sandy, you were on vacation like 2 weeks, and I came up with an idea of, I don't know, 14 skills, and we were debating which of those skills we are planning to take and incorporate in our performance review. So we were thinking in a sense of which are quite important, even maybe correlated to our core values, which were not defined at that moment yet.
Yeah, right. So I think you came up with a list of skills, and then you asked me to kind of single out a handful that I thought that were very important for me. And it was really obvious, but I kind of narrowed down on the skills that are more kind of technical in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of started having discussions about having them separated into hard skills and soft skills. And
Mm-hmm.
but in the end, I think we just realized that they're just skills. I mean, why make the distinction? If somebody is good at something, we don't have to classify it. It's just that uh, you know uh, if somebody has qualities in some skill, it's just the skill. So we in the end, I think we ended up just picking the 12 best of
Yes.
them, and then joining them
Yeah, yeah.
in a
We
single
picked
list.
up the best 12 skills, and we joined them, and somehow shaped the initial those performance reviews. Basically, some of the core stuff there was like you mentioned, was problem solving, accountability, communication, adaptability at that moment,
Mm.
initiative, creativity, critical thinking, time management, and organization. And yeah,
Wow, you remember most of
not
them.
all of them. Yeah, I proposed them, but these are the most of skills which we proposed, and it was even hard at the beginning, if you remember, to explain this. Now we picked them, and we needed to basically to explain them to employees, and
Right.
now even when explaining them uh, how to basically look to yourself and have an introspection of yourself based on those skills, and to map properly each thing which you need to map to proper skills.
But I remember there were, I think, two particularly similar. One of them is adaptability for sure, and the other one is whatever we called the applied adaptability, really. So
Versatility.
versatility, right,
Yeah.
right, right. So we had people that wanted to do a whole bunch of things, but they didn't do all of them that well. So they could be versatile, but then again, if they're versatile and adaptive, then they were doing multiple things and doing them
Yeah.
good. So yeah, it was a challenge in the beginning for sure.
Yeah,
And
definitely. You remember good that one, and later on we will speak how we even changed and updated the process. Obviously,
yep,
they're
yep.
they're always there to be updated, customized based on your basically needs in the company, and yeah, it was quite. We needed quite time to get used to this let's say this way of working and presenting ourselves through these skills. And even if you remember, while we are touching upon this one, the teams which we set up at the beginning. So we started a bit, let's say, split of responsibilities from tech side and from people and management side. And we at the beginning took some people in the company, right, for both sides.
Right, yeah,
And
because
later
well,
on,
we were short-handed, so we had to take people do multiple things. It's just the way it was.
and the point is that the first pick for the people, we had some good guesses, let's say. It were not guesses, we were following the performance and everything from before, and we knew who might be fit in which direction. And at the end, it's quite important, which we always do with our employees. We ask them, do they want to do either for a project, for a client, then we offer them, or do they want to work in a particular team or something like that, and then we give them a chance to work there and develop. So my actually premise was we changed those teams from the initial structure.
Oh yes. I don't. Well, I can. I'm just trying to think back right now, but I think Riyadh in the beginning was like mostly on the tech side of things, and then you later recognized that he would contribute a lot in the people side, because, and I think, I'm not sure if it's too soon to talk about this, but I think he had like the best self-reflection of all the
Yes, basically it
employees,
happened in this period which we are
right.
talking about. Yeah, you I forgot even that part. But it was nice that you mentioned how we figure out that he's better for the people side, because at the beginning everybody had a, let's say, lousy reviews, because we needed the time to customize ourselves and to get people into that mindset of doing introspection for yourself and doing self review, and either people leads who are responsible for helping out and writing down the notes. How do you work daily based on these skills which we said. And Riyadh was the first employee who came like at the peak, that the things which we wrote down for him were basically same and even three times more detailed
he had more
than us.
Yeah.
So because of that, then we switched him to people lead team, because of his ability for introspection and realization of and self-awareness, we can call it like that. But this was definitely the, let's say, the first good thing which we got out of this process. And his, let's say, growth was really at that moment from a, I would say, shy guy to a guy who is taking initiative, who is responsible, who enjoyed his work basically.
Yeah, he kind of took it seriously, and we, as you mentioned, we realized that if he's capable of, seeing himself for who he is, he'd probably be a good candidate to do so for people around him as well. And he liked it, and yeah, it's been good from there. So
yeah, definitely. And yeah, we're then coming, Sunday, to the beginning of the year. As always, as year before, we were doing the plans for the next year. We finished year, as I mentioned at the beginning, with the 10 employees, and we started me and you making
just
the
to
plans.
add up, I think, I'm not sure if you mentioned it before, but we did plan for that year as well, and we planned to get 10 employees by the end, but we actually reached 10 even before. So it was like
Meliha was the 10th employee, and it was September.
right. So yeah, we had to actually freeze the hiring because well, multiple things, but one of them was that we didn't plan to go anymore, and also the space was kind of lacking.
Yeah,
at the time.
at that moment. And we started. You're right. We started to make plans to
move to
change the
space.
place. We started looking around, especially you. You were keen, and in that we go in that direction, and that we find a proper place for us, because we planned for the 2023 that we end up with the 20 employees. Right?
Yeah, that's true. And the place where we were leasing at the time, the co-working space, actually was supposed to grow as well, but it was taking more and more time, and we just, at that point, we couldn't wait anymore, because if we wanted to grow, we needed more space, and then everything kind of, well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Get around.
But the space definitely was in our annual planning at the beginning, and the thing which we also planned and started to, as we let's say, set up the process of performance growth and some management stuff. How do we work? We realize also based on this, let's say, split for team tech and people lead, we realize also that we have a few more teams that we need to organize inside of Sunray, which is the design team was starting off at the beginning of the year. Learning session team, as we do the learning sessions inside the company, technical, and I would say soft
that's
also,
good.
soft skills. So, and the plan was for us, Sandy, to go to 20 employees. And if you remember, we were putting some names into these teams, and Maida was asking us how the company would come to 20 employees. Okay,
Yeah.
it's a goal that we want to reach, but how?
Yeah, I mean, I think I actually in the previous podcast I mentioned this, but it's incredible how we how we must have looked to the people that were coming because again it was just a couple of guys who were working in a co-working space, so didn't really feel like a company. And so
Mm-hmm.
Maida came, and she was like seventh employee, right? Sixth, seventh
Mm-hmm.
employee.
Yeah.
So it was still a small team. So I can see how it looked incredible to her that we were gonna
Grow to
grow to
yeah.
20 people. So it kind of perfectly makes sense to me that she had a reaction like that.
Yeah,
For sure.
and we already told her that the answer was basically we need to keep up hard working as we are doing currently, and me and you were obviously planning to expand on existing client. We were
Yep.
having the talks for this planning, at least one person there, one person on this client, and we told that we will probably get at least one client,
Yeah.
and that we are expecting it in 6 months, and that if we do the hard work, of course, it will pay off, and we will get the needed luck. And if you remember, after that meeting, it didn't pass more than 2-3 weeks, and the thing was starting to happen.
Unravel, yeah, for sure. And then when it came, as it usually does, like many things happened at once. So yeah,
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 definitely.
another crazy period was starting to unravel for sure.
Yeah, and we were at that time. We were finishing up the Charlie's project, right? I think end of January, the blockchain thing which we did.
Yes.
So we had one mistake there, and me and you had some, let's say, crossed opinions on what to do. Kerim was there, and he basically told me that he didn't made any mistake, but they accused him of missing some things on the website.
Right.
And your first idea was to apologize, and we were having discussions, and at the end we concluded and agreed that we do not apologize here, and that we try to be honest and open and to get this settled properly.
Well, I mean, not just there. We kind of have this policy where we try to be as transparent as we can towards clients, but also the employees, if you think about it. So, I mean, you can go there, you can take your part of the blame if there is any to take, but you put things as they are. And in the end, I think the kind of the conclusion was, if they're accusing us and if they continue doing so and we didn't do anything wrong, then maybe that's not the client for us to
Yeah.
work
Definitely.
at
At
all.
the end,
So
we wanted to clear out the things, and we clarified, and we found like the evidence and everything that it was not his fault at all, and we finished project
Yep.
correctly, and we had good relationship with that client at the end, and we had some more work to do after that one, but it was, let's say, a bit fiery situation at that moment, but we handled it, I think, correctly at the end. This is
yeah.
like
Yep.
like you mentioned, the Sandy, it's quite important, and which we do in the company, and which we try to take it as some of our core is taking responsibility, definitely, when you are responsible, but also taking, I will not say defensive attitude, but if we are not to blame there, we are openly going to
standing
say
up for yourself. Yeah, for
standing the
sure. I
ground,
mean,
but not attacking or taking defensive position. And these are the things where we started to build up our confidence into this direction, definitely.
and more importantly, I think we kind of showed our people that we are behind them no matter what. And that's another kind of takeaway which I think the team took from it. Kerim is not the only example. We had some back and forth on Media Ocean as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you know we always told him, when you think something's your responsibility, take it. But if it's not, stand your ground and we'll back you up. And we did.
Yeah, we
in
did,
all those.
definitely.
So the teams were, well, the people were also realizing that we're going to be there and, back them up when
And
they
even clients, at the end, we saw that they, how can I say, they take us more seriously, and we build somehow a sustainable relationship because of this open, let's say, communication and mindset for taking blame on yourself, and you are, and at the end, on standing your ground when you are not to be blamed, and of course always proposing solutions how we can avoid this and fix these
yeah, it
things.
gives you credibility for sure.
And while we are speaking about these plans to get back, we were mentioning, like in last episode, the marketing itself, and we were making plans that we build up now an agency, not just like do the marketing for our own startup. And if you remember, Sandy, first steps were basically to bring up a person for video, which we mentioned.
Yep.
And if you remember, Tariq came to us sometime around the after New Year, and
No, actually, you spotted him.
Exam.
You spotted him earlier. You knew him from before, and then we had the birthday celebration, I think, and it was what, December. December, right?
Maybe
So
16th.
you asked him to come and film us, and didn't tell him that it's going to be his interview, really. But yeah,
No,
I think
we told him. We
you
even
did?
paid him.
No, we paid him for the event, but
Event, but yeah,
but we didn't.
told him that
We
it
were
will
scouting him for
yes,
a
for the
permanent
video.
position. Yeah.
And he did quite nice job there.
Oh, he
and
did.
even our today, how it is closely related videographer who changed position with him. I think he gave him some of the equipment which Tariq needed, because Tariq
Right.
didn't have all the needed equipment, and we in Sunray also at that moment we didn't have
Well,
any
obviously,
equipment.
we didn't have the team, so
Yeah, definitely. But
Yeah.
also we made first steps to this one. And stating that, Sandy, we always, now I reflect back, we always took the risks as we do with the management and everything. We did preparation in front, and we took the risks again on some things, even when you don't have a client, you don't have nothing to shoot for the video and stuff.
Well, we kind of, all of our skills are, well, not your and mine, I mean, from before, but everything we built in-house as our skill base is kind of learned on our own projects and things that we did in-house first. That goes for development, that goes for marketing, that goes for videography. Everything we did first for ourselves, and when we were satisfied with the quality, then we offered it as an external service to the client. So,
And the funny story I remember now for Tariq, I met him at the haircut. So I was doing the haircut, and I don't know, we talked. This is a guy, I don't know, so what do you have? Can I see something something of your work? And I remember quite well that he had a quite nice website and presentation of his projects and everything, which drew our attention. And at the end, we hired him. Yeah, definitely. Making around this, we before this Sunday we were speaking about the things for the plans, and that we immediately after 2-3 weeks we started to get the projects. First thing was the project, if you remember, Prava TV
right,
with Nedim.
right, yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean, like most of our initial projects came from kind of the people that we long knew and had great working relationships with, which kind of makes sense, really, if you think about it, because what better recommendation can you have other than a person that worked for you closely for a long time and was satisfied with what you did. So yeah, our old previous actually employer that both of us worked
Yeah.
for at one point in our careers came to us, and he wanted to do a project in a, well, didn't really specify the technology, but it was rewriting his existing application to modernize everything. And maybe it's interesting from a technical point that we had a skill set in a certain set of tools that we could have used to do that. But he wanted to try something new, and then we ended up working with a technology that actually nobody knew. He didn't know it, we didn't know it. He just saw, he thought it was going to be cool. and then we said, okay, what the heck, we can give it a try, and yeah,
Yeah,
that was the first of the projects that
and
rolled in.
interesting fact, which then I think rolled the dice. I never asked Nedim, but I will ask him. So the Nedim is the guy who was our employer before and who helped us a bit also with Media Ocean at the end, our client. And if you remember, for Prava, he was mentioning to us, okay, can you give us can you give me some estimate how much would it cost to me? And I remember quite well. It was how can I say, weird for us, Sandy, to even give him some price on that one, based on previous experience, previous things which he did as a person for both of us.
Yes, for sure,
Definitely.
Yeah.
And
He's a
at
great
the
guy.
end, we concluded, Sandy. I told him that I don't know. It's we cannot negotiate the price. This will be. We told him, you give the price. We don't have like the let's say, I will not say the courage or something. We don't want to say the price. And he then told, I will think about it, to think about the price. And I don't think maybe few weeks passed maybe from that conversation, and we told we are going to do it for free for him.
But he actually did offer something. He had a fixed budget, I think, or something that he did offer to us. And
But we declined,
didn't
right?
even we didn't even tell him. We said okay, and then we went and signed the agreement. If you remember, he has a local company set up. We actually brought a guy in to sign the agreement with us that we'll charge him.
I remember now. But
Yeah.
it was something like really small, and immediately
Doesn't matter. We just we didn't tell him. We were
didn't
going to do it
wanted
for
to tell,
free.
yeah. And the thing is, why I mentioned this part, because 2 weeks, I think, after that one, even maybe maximum 3, he came to us again with a new project, which is one of our current clients, where he worked there, and he recommended us, and and then based on, again, Sandy, your legacy on the projects, that guy also knew you, and we proposed the at that moment they were not like let's say senior media developer, they were just starting their careers, but they accepted the both of our CVs, and we started the cooperation with another client.
That it all happened so fast. But yes, we just had a couple of people who were just getting to fit in and everything, and then this came, and we realized it's a good opportunity, and we offered the people, even though at that point they weren't really top notch. But as you point out, we had a long working relationship with both the guy who recommended us and the guy who was actually hiring, and they both knew that the relationship would end up with both of us chiming in if there's issues and problems.
The trust
and
was there, definitely.
So in the end, they trusted that we can deliver, and as it worked out, we did. So.
And basically we needed to shift the things. If you remember, we mentioned also our first startup. A lot of things was happening. The Plenum, Senad was working there. He was trying to finalize the authorization and authentication epic. And this client came in. We needed to pull him up there. Also, Amila, we needed to pull them up, and Plenum basically left off a bit there, and we needed to do a new set of hiring at that moment.
I can't really remember, but Amila was also working one smaller project in between as well, right?
Yeah,
did she go straight from co-working space app to
I think maybe week or 2 was
right. So
empty,
it was
not
close.
so much.
Yeah.
But we were helping out the owner of Ter's house, where we were basically renting a space, and that project was coming closely to end, and
it worked out. In her case, it was like perfect fit. But Senad, yes, we had to pull him earlier from Plenum, even though we hoped that he'd contribute there more, because he was doing a great job there, actually. He's really, really, meticulous, and he left clean code after him.
After.
And when you give him a set of problems and put him to focus on them, he actually was quite good for setting things
Yeah,
up.
and he was like the guy who wanted to know how everything works.
Yeah, but that's exactly why. I mean,
Mhm.
he's going into detail because he needs to understand how things work.
Mhm.
So he's a good guy to set things up when you're just starting for the bootstrap.
And I remember then we moved them, and we needed to hire fast, new employees, because yeah, our internal startup was was uh, 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 was, let's say, in a position where nobody is working on it, and we
Mm.
are dedicated to have our own startups, and we are investing there in project and in people, because we bring them knowledge through the working on a real
Yeah,
real
yeah.
project.
Just mentioned before that.
And one funny thing I now remembered, uh, I found out a new developer, Dean, through LinkedIn, which I don't know, it was 12 p.m. At the evening, and I didn't know that he was a friend with Amila. And
Oh, really?
basically, when I contacted him that night, he he showed me the picture with Amila, and we couldn't believe that I found out of nowhere,
Right.
close friend of her, and we employed him later on. And the funny thing is also the new employee, the Ahmed, they were working, but I think he didn't recommend him. He came through another wire through the
Right.
company, and basically a few months before that one, two of them were working in the same company on a
Nice.
internship program.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as I said earlier, the things were happening fast, and much of those things were actually interconnected, and it's funny how it worked out in the end. And even I don't know that didn't know that Dean didn't actually come as a recommendation from Amila. I always thought because they were close
Yeah,
that
that did,
she
no, no.
recommended him.
It was, I was amazed. So I was writing him at 11, 12 p.m. And do you want to work at Sunray? And half an hour or hour after that one, he was taking picture of Amila. They were eating at somewhere, and saying,
Yeah.
look at this one. I couldn't believe how, man.
Well, I
Out
mean,
of this, Sarajevo is not a small city.
probably algorithms on LinkedIn, but yeah, never
No, I
know.
looked few guys, but I don't know why I picked him. I
Oh,
looked I
okay.
looked three guys, and sent the message, but he first replied, and we started the conversation and everything. But I think somehow, as we mentioned, the Nedim and Stiff, and the onboarding on the showrunner and stuff, how it's quite important for us. Again, it's relying on taking responsibility and standing your ground. Is that we always search somehow for these win-win situations, that somehow nobody, let's say, loses Sandy. That even on employee side, on our side, we tend to seek that nice spot where nobody loses, basically.
Well, I mean, yeah. Always we start with a premise. Well, when you're talking about employees, that if the employee is happy and satisfied with what they do, they'll bring their best to the job, and then they're gonna do good work. So that's the kind of win-win we're looking for there, and that's why, as you mentioned earlier, whenever we make a decision that influences the employee in any significant way, we will first ask them, "Do you want this? Is this a good time for you to accept this?" Which there's a funny story around this as well, but we can maybe talk about it next time because that happened later on.
Which one?
Well, it was the whole thing with Dean and colleagues and how we asked him if he wanted
Yeah,
to. Yeah,
we
but I
can we
think
can.
that comes later, so I'll just skip it for now. But yes, and also with the clients, whenever we offer something, we try to make them get more value than they would otherwise, and then we also seek, that we are not doing anything. How can I put this? I mean, when you're new, when you're starting and you don't have any clients, you have to give something to the clients to kind of spice it up to make yourself
Mhm.
want it. And we never did lower the price too much so we don't actually can't sustain the developers ourselves, and so we were always giving as much as we can, but we didn't give too much. And then on the other side as well, we tried to deliver everything we promised and then some more. So yes, always looking for the win-win, and that kind of became a motto as well later, right?
Yeah, definitely,
We
Sandy.
used it a lot in the later.
I agree. And during this period, this growth phase, let's say, which we started onboarding one mobile, let's say, mobile project, onboarding the showrunner itself with two new guys, employing new people, putting one of them to our startup, and we somehow also started to get more, let's say, traction. And we had a call from my friend from Bihać that there was one startup from not startup, it was like company in US, it's similar name, Showsite, like Showrunner.
Showsite. Yeah,
I was
yeah,
always
yeah.
switching those names. And they came to us basically. The first thing is that they came to us, Sandy, with the redesign phase. And during this phase, I remember that we offered like one designer to have initial talks with them and to start designing. We agreed on a price and everything. And after first meeting, that guy told me, "Hey man, this guy, do you think that he can do this job?"
Oh,
And the
our
guy was
designer,
shy.
right.
Our guy was really shy, but we knew that he has the ability, that he has the capacity, and that he really does the great designs, which he already had showed in
On our
Sunray.
project, yeah.
And we almost, let's say, lost it. I convinced him, please do not take his shyness
As incompetence.
as a competence. Please give us just a week, and you will see what he will make. And of course, our guy did the job really good, and they wanted to continue. And if you remember, Sandy, then another problem arose. We didn't have like the developers which are needed to perform the project itself. We did the designs, now we needed to implement this, I would say, let's say, website or web app, which was like, I think, the largest site in USA for the dogs, breeding and stuff. Breeds
Right.
and
Right. So we were talking about both of them, but both of these projects, funnily enough, they're named similar too. They came at almost exactly the same time. So the point is, we just assigned a couple of developers that were at least somewhat ready to work on an external project that we knew we can stand behind them in that sense. And then this came as well, where we would have to scrape to find somebody to actually work there because we didn't have the capacity. So it was really it was a difficult position. I mean, we would have to ask somebody to work more or hire somebody new who we don't know, which is even worse. And then you have to stand behind somebody who you haven't worked with. And then in the end, I think that's what made us decide not
to take it. We basically tried to, as you stated, we thought about it, employing somebody new. We never wanted that one. Before we try out the person on our internal startup, we show him how we work, what we care about, what are our way of working to the clients, and we do it like today. We don't immediately send anybody who is newly employed in Sunray was not sent to client immediately, and the point was there. We didn't want it to do that one. I remember the nice thing which the guys showed for the company. Few of them, we were having a meeting Sunday, and they wanted to help it out. They wanted that we push this project, that we make it. Maybe we could make it working overtime. Me, you, maybe those guys also who proposed it, but we decided to not take it. It's not about the money. It's about the thing that we could do. Then we could produce unhealthy environment, which we do not want. We do not want that that people in Sunray work after the work. We want them to rest, to think of some other things about the family, about the hobbies, about the fulfilling other part of yourself. And we declined, and even we were speaking with our friends. We proposed this guy. We are not able and capable to do it at this moment, and we explained these reasons to client, and we gave them the contact for our friends.
Right.
I'm not sure if I think nothing happened at the end, but the point is that we made a good decision, definitely there.
Yes. So, as you said, yes, the three of the guys are long-time employees at that point. They were discussing this with us. We are trying to find a rotation or a way to not turn the client down, obviously, because we were, if you just now think a few months back, we were looking for clients desperately, and then all of a sudden we have too many. So it was really awkward to actually say no to somebody when they were asking for your services. But we were trying to find a way, and we couldn't. And then they left the meeting. They spoke among themselves, and then they came back, and then they offered to do overtime even to make that happen. And yes,
That was nice for me, definitely, and a
Yeah.
nice feeling, and that they cared about the company. They wanted to push more, and yeah. But at the end, I'm glad that we declined that one
Yeah.
and took it seriously, because it's not worth of any kind of money
Well,
to
it's not
push.
only that, right? It's not just about. I mean, it is primarily about being in a healthy working environment and also keeping them healthy as well. Because both you and I previously worked freelance positions where we worked for multiple clients, and it's not sustainable. You can do it in short bursts, but it always leaves a mark, and it takes months
Yeah,
later to recover from that.
and especially when you're at the start of the career.
Oh yeah, when everything is new. So my point is, aside from the obvious benefit of keeping them sane and productive and happy, uh, even if they did it, the quality would be subpar, both for the new client and also for the existing ones, which was unacceptable because
Да.
we were still kind of new with all of the clients, and we wanted to make good impact there. So you can't really ask people to do other things at the same time and expect them to perform their job at the same level. It just doesn't work like that. You're not a machine. So
Yeah, definitely. And as you mentioned, the clients itself, we took it again seriously. The relationship with all of our clients, we have with the high executives, let's say each 2 months meeting, and with some let's say lower management, even more frequent
more often, yeah.
meetings where we basically ask for feedback, and we reflect on upon good things which happened, or bad things which can happen. And again, our open communication is a quite key factor for maintaining these relationships, and putting us in a position where we feel comfortable with the client. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as just like interpersonal relationships, even, and I think that was your catch actually, with the 2 monthly things that we do with our clients. Is like every good relationship requires you to work on it, so it doesn't just happen. And it actually, what we noticed, now over the full period, is that the relationships actually grew more when there were issues, and then we were able to overcome them together. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and speaking around these relationships, I was working in Colex, and this thing around the management, where we started to have a much more job to do there, much more these frequent meetings of performance reviews, and sustaining these meetings with the clients, thinking about, let's say, possible new ideas, implementing them, pushing the teams, and starting to even put effort into engaging people into leaders, giving them the education and proper chance to work there. I needed to drop off from the colleagues from 5 working days to 4 working days. And I remember quite well because of this good relationship. They understood, and we we already openly communicated with them that we are doing these processes and everything, and that it's harsh for me. And we started ending up there, and without any problem, they accepted it. It's okay for 4 days. And if you remember, we were thinking how to expand there more, and basically they. I'm not sure if that was the point, but when we moved to 4 days, immediately next, basically the review meeting was they offered us QA position to us. I'm not sure it does it have. I'm thinking now of it. Does it have sense with that one? But yeah.
Well, it could be a lucky coincidence, or it could be that they freed up some budget because you were now freeing up some budget that they had to pay for your services. But yes, that's it's also one of So again, a really crazy period, and I have a kind of a foggy memory about the entire period because it was a really difficult period in the client that I was coding for at that time, and I'm still actually coding there. But yes, now that you're talking about it, I remember it as well. That's another thing that came in unexpectedly.
It was a hard decision. It had an impact, like for us. Let's say even money wise, client wise relationship. But I think it was a good decision there to not put us in a hard position that we are doing lousy job there, or even on our side doing the lousy job. Where
Right.
I've fed up. I think my Friday was the day
Yes.
of the client where I would be piling up all Friday with the meetings which I needed to do for that week.
Yeah, well, as we mentioned, I mean, more and more people are coming on, and with all the things that we were doing, taking care of them properly, and onboarding them onto the new culture that we are trying to establish, it just took too much time, and then even training the people that can do it in your stead would also take your time to do. So in the end, it was just not sustainable to do it at the
Yeah.
same time as you code full time for
Yeah,
somebody
definitely.
else. And of the two of us, you were always more keen to work with people, so it made perfect sense for you to do
And
this.
and popped it to my mind that we concluded that first 3 months are crucial for each person, where we invest time into the fixing the problems which they basically put in their head and make mistakes, where we tell them that it's normal, that we accommodate them to new way of this introspection and self-awareness which we were trying to push through whole the company. And at the beginning it's hard for anybody to grasp it, because it's not seen so often in life that people do these things in private life, not even in a let's say working environment, but also in a private life.
Well, I mean, think about it intuitively, right? It doesn't make sense. Your employee, the guy who's actually thinking if they're going to keep you or not, is telling you, okay, write all of these things that you think are bad about you. And then you have to put them on paper. You have to criticize yourself. You're literally arming the person to fire you, right?
Yeah.
But what we try to, and we really do mean that, is to explain to them that we're only recording their mistakes so they know what they need to work on, and that we can later on show them how much they've progressed. And it always takes, as you point out, maybe that the 3 months is the critical period, but it always takes some time for the people to realize that we actually mean it, because it sounds weird when you first think about it. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
let me now sit down and criticize myself. It's
And even write down the good things. People sometimes do not even want to take, let's say,
credit.
credit for something. Definitely, Sandy, and they put it aside. And then, if you do not follow that process, you cannot have a sense of fulfillment, bigger fulfillment at the end of the results which you achieved. And that's also the point here. Okay, criticism part is for fixing, and again, seeing in some part of the time the progress, which is again motivating, but the right part, also the success which you are doing in your job and in company, and how are you progressing, is quite important for the motivation and mental state. and this growth mindset which we are trying to embrace through whole this concept. Getting back to Sandy, to this open communication with clients and stuff. We started to do out of that the open communication workshops. We had them also in the company, and it was quite nice. The reflection after the first one, where we spoke openly about anything in the company, about the problems and everything, and we like as a people lead, let's say, we always would be, if we see some problem arise, it communicated it, resolve it, and fulfill the circle and move on. And this was also hard for the people to grasp, basically, because. There are hard talks, definitely, when you
Yes.
take this approach.
And also, I remember it was hard for the new people leads now, right? That's their position, to be critical about their peers, because up to that point they were kind of
Colleagues,
well,
friends.
they're still colleagues and friends. They're still, all of them are still doing their job, whether it's development, whether it's QA, or whatever they end up doing. It's just that instead of the classical HR, we had people that are close together take care of each other. And so that also meant at points that when the problem arises, they would step in and give the hard talks. And that wasn't easy for them as well, right?
Yeah,
It's,
definitely. At the beginning, it was quite hard, and the even customizing both sides, it was quite hard. Even pushing the people leads. At that beginning, I was doing it all the time. Later on, we started to give not permission when they took about some kind of knowledge, and when they grasped the process, we gave them the opportunity to resolve the issues by themselves. But the problem was also people lead side, and this person who is making, let's say, a problem which is not a huge problem, which can be resolved easily with proper communication. But also this customization was hard. But yeah, at the end, I think we managed to pull up the ladder, let's say, for this with this open communication, let's say, workshop, and leading by example.
yeah, that's also like when you is that the same workshop when you collect things that often happen wrong, and then we talk about them for the benefit, yeah, of more
Of the
people.
company. Yeah.
Right, right. So yeah, for sure. I mean, if you see somebody make a mistake, it's a one-off. Okay, so whatever. But if you see five people making the same mistake, then it's a pattern. And then yeah, the good
Yes.
way to
Yes.
address it is to just do it in public without pointing fingers, obviously. But you know, seeing we have a common problem. Okay, so how do we solve it as a team? So yeah, that was nice as well.
And the thing which happened again in this growth phase was the introduction of Toastmasters. If you remember, Sandy, we continue to talk from the last episode. We already had piled up some bunch of things to do, and now we are piling up more. The Toastmaster, basically, it happened for a reason. I got an idea because before in one company where I worked, Soft House, there were these Toastmasters coming to Sarajevo, and this girl who was going to lead it came to Soft House and proposed who wants to go there. I took my hand. It was weird for me, Toastmasters, what it is, and I realized it's a world-class organization about the public speaking and your speaking skills in general, communication skills. And we saw a bit problem that some people are having problem with shyness, some people are having problem with confidence, some people are having problem with not speaking too much English, and they're not used to it still. So we decided to incorporate this Toastmasters thing in the company. How did it felt for you first time?
Well, before I get to the Toastmasters itself, the funny thing is that the first people that jumped on to actually attend Toastmasters were the people that had least trouble with English and with public speaking. And so you could literally tell by how much people avoided to go to Toastmasters how much they needed it.
Yeah.
It's a funny observation. But yes, I happen to be lucky enough to work with foreign clients for a very long time, and I've also started learning English very very young. So I never had issues with speaking in English, but public speaking is
Yeah, it was.
was
Mhm.
never my forte. So yes, I didn't come among the first ones to the Toastmasters, just like the pattern we noticed with everybody else. But when I eventually did, uh, yeah, I was just out there. I mean, it was always like the first session was an impromptu theme. We had like a few minutes to think about what we're going to talk about, and then have to give a speech and captivate the audience with it. And it was a disaster on my part because I kind of thought quickly about what I'm going to talk about, but I didn't think it through to the end. So I didn't come up with a conclusion up front. I was just hoping that it's going to get me there.
Mhm.
And of course, that didn't happen. I just ended up, standing and looking at the ceiling, trying to think up what I'm going to end with, which was a disaster. But it also was a very valuable lesson because the next time I came in and I got my theme, the first thing I thought about was my concluding words. And then I worked back and
Mhm.
started from the beginning. So, yeah, it was a huge learning experience. And
Experience,
then
yes.
also, like a lot of these small things that you don't think about. Become apparent when you're out there and it doesn't matter. I mean, these are in the Toastmasters, you're sitting around with the same people you're sitting around every day, but just the thing that you're in the spotlight and that everybody's looking at you puts some additional pressure on
Yeah,
you and makes
definitely.
you, in my case, for example, it makes me hyper aware of my body and the things that I'm talking about. So for example, I don't know what to do with my hands, and so I put them in my pockets or something, and then uh, it's so obvious once you're put in the position. But the good thing about it is that you get to try in a friendly environment with the people who are gonna criticize you for sure,
Mhm.
but in order for you to be
To
able
get
to
better.
grow, yeah, and to push you in the right direction. So yeah, it was definitely worth it in my case.
Yeah, and somehow this okay, critical thinking was the part which we also somehow embraced in the sunray itself, but in a manner of not, let's say, uh, insulting somebody in a manner of that we want to fix it with either problem solving or creativity or initiative. And Toastmasters is also a good practice beside of the Sandy of like, enhancing your skills and stuff. You also enhance your critical thinking because
Yes.
you're looking at the person and trying to give as much as exact feedback you can with the positive stuff and with the negative, and also tell the I don't know, the bad words, the narration of the story could be better and what you could change.
Yes, exactly.
And as you stated, these small things, when you start noticing them, you can literally make small progress each week and build up your confidence with speaking in front of the people.
Right. When you again, in my case, I mean, I can give a good example about the awareness of your body parts and what you're doing, for example, with your hands. Uh, it's it's gonna make you think about it. You're gonna try to do something, let's say, meaningful. Look, okay. But then, as you do it 2 or 3 times, then becomes automatic, and you don't have to think about it, and then you get more comfortable with speaking. So that's the whole point. You get to practice.
And storytelling and everything.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
when we mentioned this critical thinking, if you remember, this was the time also when we were speaking about the core values. It was a soft skills team. Me and Maida were in this part, let's say, soft skills teams. We are still today. And Maida came up with a workshop, which was a nice workshop for our own internal core values. If you remember, she got us with a piece of paper.
Oh, the Japanese word, ikigai.
Ikigai, yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she came out with 50 core values, and we didn't know what we are going to do with them. She didn't state it to us anything,
Mm.
and we started circling. What is the, I don't know, most important for you? Circle it like this. And at the end, she collected and showed us basically what are our
Personal core values.
Personal core values.
Yeah.
And out of that, I got an idea a few weeks later that why we don't implement this Maida's core values thing for our company. And we did it somehow like that. We already had some core values. We had them in air. We didn't define them before starting up the company. Okay, we want to do this.
Yeah.
But we build it up during the working way. And then at the end, we together with all employees, collected those, let's say, 50 and circled the most important, let's say, 4 or 5 of them.
If you think about it, right, you can write down anything as your core values. But in that case, it's just wishful thinking. We want this to be our core values, right? But if you just look at the team and see what they're doing, they're going to manifest their core values in what they do every day. And then it's just about recognizing that and, putting it somewhere. So, yeah, the core values actually came bottom up, which is a really good thing.
Yeah, usually people, stated otherwise, put them and try to build them, build up
try
with
to
the
shape
team.
themselves instead of, just recognizing that, okay, these are already our core values. We don't have to do anything. We just need to embrace them and lean into them even more.
Yeah. And it was really, let's say, good period for us. And there was one a last part when we finally a bit settled, Sandy, to these projects which we mentioned. If you remember, I went to one meeting. One guy contacted me through LinkedIn, our current client, and he basically contacted me and a few more, I think 3 more CEOs of IT companies, and he wanted to build up some kind of gathering in his apartment. And I was the only one who showed up. And I quite remember that day. My wife's parents came. It was Friday, and I was tired as hell, and I didn't want it to go really. And somehow, okay, I will go. And I showed up there, the only one, me and him, standing there. It was Sunday, somewhere around November, December, let's say, and. I met him there. We spoke about his startup. I spoke about our internal startup saloon, and we shared opinions. I shared our experiences with the startup. I suggested him what he could be doing better. I consulted him what he should be asking from the company who was doing the work for him, and he came 2 times more to our office, if you remember, Sandy. And you also had a talk with him. We also like consulted him, and at the end we ended up settling down him and he coming to us. It was meant to be retainer at the beginning, but we took at the end whole team of people together with the QA, PM, developers, and the designer, because we didn't like the way the site, how it was looking.
And even marketing in the end, right?
And marketing also. Yeah, and it was our 2nd or 3rd client in the marketing. Yeah, you're right. I forgot even that part.
So it must have been weird, though, showing up in somebody's apartment, just the 2 of you. How did that feel?
Oh, man. It was the moment I was in Marindvor, and that building was like in movies. American movies. Like I went to, I think it was 3rd floor, and you are entering from the entrance to like inner balconies. And the light was, I don't know, one light was on the whole set of balconies, and there are the doors like in small motels in USA, same. And I was like in some weird movie, and the last door, of course, was there, and I was knocking, nobody was there. Knocking one more time, nobody was there. Maybe after a minute, Hassan opened up and come here inside, and we started. Yeah, it was weird, definitely, for both of us. But at the end, we managed to settle down and start working. But yeah.
But that's a good point, right? Like even when you met somebody new, and well, me as well, but we try to maintain a good relationship. We never expected anything to come from it, but
yeah,
it didn't really cost us much to just give him a few pointers and
you're right.
tell him what to do, and then it kind of paid off because he decided, if they're doing this for me for free, probably. I mean, I don't know. I haven't asked him, but they might, be competent enough to also do these other things for me. And then that kind of happened as well. So we were in another set of troubles now.
Yeah, I asked him that question basically in the testimonial part. You can look on our YouTube channel, client testimonials. Why did he choose us? He told me, I liked your integrity. I liked your something like energy, which you had, and the team. I saw that your like working environment and people. I liked what I saw. So and something told me go work with these guys, and we started working with him. Maybe Sandy, do you have some final words for this period, as we can continue maybe next time? Yeah, you mentioned you were quite occupied with the grid and everything.
Yeah. Well, a lot of client work, and as we just discussed this whole episode, there were a lot of things happening, and man, was I waiting for my vacation that year. I was completely flat out. I had to actually take 2 vacations to get back on track. So yes, a lot of things happened, but in a good way. I think in the end, the last period, we were kind of narrowing down on the new space we were going to move. So I think that's pretty much right at the end of this period. And
Yeah.
we were in the final negotiations to hire actually this space that we're in.
And the thing is, I also forgot, we expanded in marketing. We hired one more person, which was
A lot
Fatima.
happened.
Yeah, we started to onboard more clients there, and yeah. But this period was nice for me, especially around these that this process somehow, whole process and whole of these core stuff which we mentioned, and some of the core skills like accountability, critical thinking, open communication, definitely, which somehow piled up into our DNA of the company. This was for me like a big plus. And I remember now one more thing. We knew that we wanted something in Team Tech, Sandy, that we could not just the follow the progress of person, and not just to play around with new technologies. I remember that during my sessions with Maida, which I had for the management and drawing on the board and stuff like that, and in the moment Eureka came. Basically, we had a skill set for personal growth and everything, and we had a roadmap where we wanted to go. And then I found on LinkedIn one part, let's say, about core JavaScript stuff or core front-end stuff. And then I investigated a bit more, and we somehow splitted the core front-end stuff, which developer could be working on. I don't know, routing, authentication, authorization epic, handling larger data sets, styling, state management, pagination, I don't know, caching, bunch of core components which pile up front end. Same for the backend, same for the mobile, and same for the web DevOps. And we started first steps there in Team Tech, that we basically give each developer a roadmap, what he should be learning and where is he going, and at which state he is.
Right. And also help them with the self-awareness of it, because they were supposed to grade themselves with the level of comfort they have with every one of those points. And then later on, we are also, but let's leave that for the next time.
Yeah, and I want to touch upon you. Maybe you are more technical guy than me. You are better at that one. This was realization for me because of one aspect. I could reflect it on myself. Probably you not, because you investigated deeply the things which you learned about technical and everything, the stuff. But this staggered me, let's say, because I was like having problems with that during my career. I was learning what was pushed to me. I was not searching something for broader image. What's my roadmap as a front-end developer? What's my roadmap as a back-end developer? What's my roadmap in IT, where I am at globally in IT?
Yeah.
And this somehow, because of this recognition, somehow it stuck me, because it's quite important. We mentioned at the beginning the setting of the goal, Sandy. It's quite important to know where are you going. Then you will find out the tiny bits how to come there.
Well, I'm trying to think back now when you mention it, how kind of my learning of all things IT began. And as you point out, I'm a, go into the depths kind of guy. So I'll when I have interest in something, I'll research everything about it and then some more, and then I'll try it myself, and then I'll research some more, and then iterate until I'm completely satisfied that I understand everything. But way back when I first got into it, I had this period where I was learning all these parts about IT, about programming. Those are, we're now talking 90s, right? So even if you look at the movies, like the hackers are sitting there and typing on a keyboard without using the space at all, which is completely garbage when you look at it now. But my point is, I was interested in all of those things since I was a kid. Technologies was there for me, the thing that I wanted to work on. And I remember quite distinctly now that I've learned all these small things, but I couldn't connect them in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I knew a bit about coding. I knew about operating systems. I knew, all these bits and pieces that kind of I'm aware how they work, and I can achieve what I'm trying to do. But it didn't. And at some point, all of a sudden, it was somewhere when I was learning C++, combined with pointers, something, I don't know, something clicked in my mind. And then all of a sudden, I was on this plateau. Obviously, it was a low plateau, but, I was seeing all of these things around me that I've learned so far, and they made sense with each other. So, yeah, it's really hard to reflect because that's way back for me. And then obviously since then I've improved my knowledge and went even deeper in all of those. But yeah, I'm the kind of guy that, gets a bunch of different pieces and then sticks with them until they at some point just make sense altogether. So it would have been hard for me to quantize that, in the sense that, the idea that you came up with is a great thing. I don't think I would get there because it's not the way my brain works. So it's easier to track people through it, but it's not something intuitive for me.
I remember they even asked you the question now. I remember. Sandy, can you rewire your brain? How did you how did you pile up all of this knowledge?
I probably told you I don't know. Right?
You told me similar story like this now. I was grabbing the bits and pieces and I was doing that. But can you show me a bit more exact steps that we can show to people? They should be working. They should be interesting in these things. Similar story.
This is really how the brain is wired thing. Because when you do something just because you're interested in it, it's completely different than when you're learning something because you need to do it. I mean, a good example that has nothing to do with this, but it's a similar thing in university, right? You'll get all of these topics to talk about, for example, analysis in mathematics, which, because I needed to do it and because the teachers there didn't really interest me in it too much, I hated it. I never wanted to do anything with it, right? But as soon as I finished that and got all the grades, somehow, I'm not even sure why, I got interested in physics, and then I needed to know the mathematics behind it so I can understand it properly. And then I found all of these resources about, analysis, and I went in depth and I understood it completely, but on my own terms when I needed it. And that's how I always done all my learning. And I always do it because I have a deep interest in something. I can't force myself to learn something that I don't care about.
You cannot have motivation enough to learn about some things. And definitely, and especially when you are learning new things, I like this part. I realized this before, let's say, a few months, that I realized on myself that I pile up too much things, read too much things, then do some things, and at the end, all somehow the dots get connected.
Yeah, it converges into something.
And then you need some more dots to make a mess, and then out of that mess you connect the dots.
Yes.
So basically, yeah, maybe this is a good point also. In this period, Sandy, we started to split the roles basically in the company. Basically, what is your passion and what is my passion at the end, and it came naturally, which is quite nice. And it came at this period. So I was. You were present with me in all of these meetings. We were thinking we are co-founders. We need to do everything together. Dum dum dum. At the end, we as a co-founders, we need to touch upon high level decisions and stuff like that. But on a lower level decisions, we don't need, let's say, both of us there, because or either on a tech side we don't need to both of us there, or on the other side. And this was the time when we started the splitting of the roles inside, let's say, somehow CTO, CEO, executive, and chief technology officer. Basically, the guy, when we have any problem inside the company, technical, the Sandy is the guy to go to. And this period was basically that natural split which happened.
Yeah, but it was a long time coming. We were talking about it for a very long time, and we even mentioned it in the podcast earlier, that we were hinting at it and going in that direction. But yes, this is really took off. Well, you know this about me, but I'm not really a meeting kind of guy. The best kind of meeting that I can hope for is the canceled meeting, in my case. But yeah, I realized that I'm spending all of this time that I don't have looking at things that you're capable of deciding for both of us, because you know the subject and you know how I feel about it. So in 95% of the cases, you'll just decide what I would have said anyway if I were there. So we kind of agreed that I'll keep an eye more on the tech side, and you'll keep closer attention to the people side. And then even after the decision is made, if somebody doesn't agree, we can always sit back and discuss and change the decision later on. So yes, this is definitely the period that we started separating in the roles and just freeing our time to work more on the things that actually mattered to us individually and that we can contribute more to.
Yeah, definitely. And because of this, it started when we actually splitted that part. Started to I will not say easier, but it was a bit more relief on some prospects, because most of the startups founders make these mistakes, like we need to be included in everything, and then at the end the corporations end up in like 6 decision makers, 7 decision makers, and something it's really I don't know. It's a decision which you make, like should I put mayonnaise inside a
but
sandwich?
even more to the point, right? It's not even that split. You're supposed to push the decision down as much as you can to a person that can responsibly make it. So it's not only that you're separating the two of us. You're also trying to educate the next decision makers who are going to do this going forward. Because if you think about it, as co-founders, what we really need to do is remember our vision and make sure that the grand decisions kind of steer towards that vision, and then allow like the operational things to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And the year was marked as I mentioned earlier. We are starting to embrace the leadership in people who are capable of doing the leadership, because leadership itself, it's a complex thing of sometimes getting hard decisions on your team, on the company, and sometimes being too soft, sometimes being basically finding a balance inside of everything, and carrying basically the burden of those decisions which you make. And we are now growing the leaders in both sides, not just in people's side. That as you mentioned, that we push them, that they somehow get into a state that they bring up some decisions there, and then they should be reflecting same on the team and next people who are coming there. Yeah, maybe.
It's an ongoing process, but kind of like with most things, it was the most difficult to get the ball rolling. And then when it did, it's kind of getting easier because now you have more people and more ideas and everything involved, and it's moving in some direction that you can finally start. You can start to take your hands off it and let other people start to make decisions, which
Yeah,
is really rewarding
and especially in
for me
this
personally.
And especially in this period, we moved the check figures properly into the teams. At the end of this period, this team was settled, and that team is firm even now. And the performance basically review is to be blamed because we knew through that process what somebody is capable of doing exactly with the exact data. And at the end of this, let's say, period, the team was firm on both sides. As you mentioned, we discovered Riyadh for this side, and also
Yeah.
Amila was for the part, and on your side, Ahmed and Avdo were the tech guys. And we are starting to let's say build up people who can change us one day, definitely, and
Replace us,
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that we move on to next things in our lives, which we would like to continue. And one more idea I remember that we started speaking in this period, Sandy. I was looking at some podcast in Serbia, and I heard quite nice story about one city. I'm not sure which one, where they have grown. A city was too small, Sandy, and their IT company with few startups, and they could not attract people from Belgrade, bigger cities in Serbia, and basically they employed all young people from that small city,
Oh,
and they educated them. And it is a quite nice story. I cannot remember what's the name of the company, and that inspired us to make an idea which we want to implement definitely in future, is to open up sunray entities where we are going to beside profit share which we are giving, where we are going to give a chance people to be co-founders together with us. Of course, the core values, the core stuff, the core sunray way of working needs to be there, but the rest is basically giving them an opportunity and a chance to grow in career. So we have a clear path where you can end up being in sunray. It's just matter of, are you prepared for something like that, or you want something else. But that idea popped first time, I think, in this period.
I don't think I agree with you completely. Now I'm thinking back about it. We were always discussing how we want to
Retain people.
retain people in
Profit share
in
was
Sunray.
one of the
Yes,
things.
yeah, exactly what I'm getting at. So this was just a culmination of talking about how can we make it enticing enough for people to stay with us without, I don't know, doing things that we saw other companies do to us and to other people, like signing contracts that you have so long notice period that it's infeasible to even switch companies, or all. I don't want to get into that, but the point is, okay, so far we have we'll try to make a competitive salary, we'll try to increase it on a regular basis, and make a firm commitment that will increase the salary given that they fulfill whatever goals we set for them. And then the profit share was the next step, as you put. But then we started thinking, okay, so what happens after profit share? Let's say they're with us 5-10 years, I don't know. At that point, a young person who is ambitious, which is the kind that we're actually looking for when we're hiring in Sunray, they'll probably want to have something on their own. So that was kind of maybe the
Yeah, but we had just profit share. I remember when I was also introducing the profit share, the question for me was, if you remember, I was quite hectic for Avdo. Oh, he wants to work in corporation, Sandy. How we can stop him to go to work to corporation? But yes, I agree. And why we wanted this part of, let's say, the profit share and everything, because to be able to do great things and good things, you need proper people around you, and we invest a lot in our people. So I changed 8 companies. I never saw a company who is giving this kind of performance review. Basically, companies forcing you to be better, and with a risk when you become better that you
leave.
can leave, fly
Yeah.
out. All companies are doing, I will not say quite the opposite, but they are careful in this area. We are giving the knowledge which we have. We are giving the books which we read. We are giving the podcasts which we listen. Our way of educating and building up all of these things, we are giving it whole openly. And with this, at the end, open communication and everything, probably you are right. Maybe, okay, this company parked it, but we were speaking all the time around that one, how we want to retain.
I'm not saying
Because-
we knew how to do it. I'm just saying we were looking for a way
for
to
a
get
way.
it, and then maybe that's the trigger to that pushed you in that direction, because we knew we needed something for the long term. Profit share was fine for I don't know 5-6 years, but what then? So this was the next step that and if you well, we're still thinking how to properly implement that, but it's definitely going to go.
But
in
yeah,
that direction.
hopefully, if we can sustain us, we are planning somewhere around, let's say, fifth or seventh year of the company, or fifth, to have a till fifth first entity, which is at this point maybe marketing, but then development and few other teams which we are now building up inside the company, which could be basically going in that direction. And yeah, when you think of it, we are, of course, we know that not all the people are going to stay inside the company, but we want to invest and to give them a chance for the growth which they want. It's a like I mentioned in the early podcast, it's a harder way. In this case, a bit longer way, but afterwards it will be an easier way than starting it like us on nothing, without nothing, trying to build up something.
Yeah.
And on a firm foundations, that we do not harm anybody, that we are open, that we do not lie about anything, about the CVs, how do we work, everything, the relationships, everything around it. And it's a future, I think, Sandy. This thing is coming also in the world, that companies are going to a bit need to switch in this direction.
Well,
That-
if
that
they want to retain their talent in a positive way, which is our goal, then yes, I think they're going to have to do something like that. Because in the end, I mean, you have to give people uh, some reason to choose you over everybody else. And when you're saying we bring young people in, we educate them, we give them all these tools, and then once they learn, they're literally free to do whatever they want. Now, what we try to do, and it's been our motto for a while, and hopefully it's going to stay that way, is that we try to give them everything they need in one place, so they don't have to go anywhere else. They can fulfill any ambition they have with us. Now, if they still choose to part way with us, okay. So I mean, you can't help that.
Yeah.
Even if you had a magic wand and you can, tie them down and say, okay, you have to stay here, they'd never be happy. So you wouldn't want that people
Yeah,
to be
definitely.
around anyway. So it's just, the only way you can really hope to retain people is to make them happy long term. So, and I think that's a good thought to end with as well.
Yeah, I would agree with you.